me about posture and walking and things like that, I probably have taught you some of these, but we all need a reminder once in a while. The first thing we're gonna do is everyone is gonna sit, I'm just kidding, we're not gonna do any of that. There's gonna be no quizzing, no grading, nothing. I will make sure that you leave today with practical information on how you can improve your posture, not only for the benefits of your health, but also some of it's just cosmetic. I mean, I always joke, some of you have been patients of mine for a while. If you've lived in Venice for a long time, one of the things that you probably see when you go to the grocery store is this. Thankfully, most of my patients don't show up here like that, but that is one of the big things we're trying to prevent. None of us want to be humped over as we age for a lot of reasons. Some of those reasons that are other than cosmetic, I'm going to go through today to make sure that we are understanding the physiology as well as the practical tools that we can use to change those things, okay? I will answer questions, so if you have questions, hold them to the end. And one thing I always forget to ask, if you brought your cell phone, please put it on silent, just for the next 45 minutes. Thank you for everyone looking. And if you haven't seen, this is my lovely family. We're up there on the wall. All of the things that I talk about, I practice in my life. So if you've known, again, some people here have been friends of mine, patients of mine for a long time. I do practice what I preach. My kids get adjusted, we eat well, we exercise. I harp on them about their posture. I make sure that the things I ask you guys to do, such as your home care, your exercises, and your stretches, I do myself at home. So if you have questions about practicality, how to implement it in your life, again, I have a business, I have 2 small kids, I have a lot of family in town. I make sure that this is part of my priority. So it is one of the things that I will start teaching you guys about, is how to make sure you can implement it into your life. But don't hesitate, you can always ask for strategies on how to make it part of your daily routine. So why is posture important? So again, I went through some of the things. Cosmetics is one of them, but one of the main reasons that posture is so important is because it helps our body develop the right way. So starting with when we're little, you know, again, I went to Catholic school, so maybe some of you guys remember they're always like, sit up straight. My father used to always tell stories about how he was told and the nuns would come around and they would basically make sure that you were sitting up all the time. Well, that's told for us to do. If you don't have a reason or a why behind why you're doing that, it is not going to be as effective. So the first part of what I'm going to talk about today is the why behind why we should have good posture. Not just how to do it, but the reasons behind it. So number 1 is bone alignment. So this goes back to when you were a child. If you have good bone alignment, so if you have a great posture, it will help your body develop the right way. So your bones will grow evenly. You will have the proper muscular structure. Everything will develop in the right pattern. So again, when we talk about bony alignment, a lot of that is stemming back to children. So most of you in here, I think your kids might be a little older than mine, but some of you have grandkids. And the biggest thing that has happened over the last, I would say 10, 15, 20 years is the use of our cell phones, right? So everybody's on their cell phone all day long, and we use it for everything from getting directions, communicating, you know, even learning we do on our cell phone. But the problem with that is we're now all molding into this position. So it's not necessarily adults, you know, most of us have molded into the shape that we're in now, and we're gonna make changes to that. But when you're thinking about your kids and your grandkids, now is a really good time to have that conversation as the leaders and the authority in your family, saying, hey, this isn't good for us. And I'll show you ways that you can still use your cell phone. I obviously have a cell phone, which is what I'm using today to video myself, but there's ways that you can use it the right way. This year, my son, he just turned 7. And the big thing he wanted for Christmas was a Nintendo Switch. So back when I was a kid, that was called what, a Game Boy, a Nintendo Game Boy. So what does that look like when you're on the Switch? You're down, you're looking like this, and it's molding his developmental body into that position. But there's ways that you can overcome that. So we only use technology when we're traveling. So maybe my son plays the Switch for like, you know, we go on vacation 4 times a year. He uses it when we're in the car. At home, I maybe let him use it for 15 to 20 minutes a weekend. But when we're using it when we're traveling, I have him stack pillows up, or he has like a little box or his backpack. So he's holding it up higher, so that way you're not molding into that position. So again, those are just some tips and tools so you can still be involved. Technology, we could have a whole workshop on whether that's good or bad for us. Using it in moderation, of course, should be one of the things we consider, but making sure that you're not allowing that position to form. So when we talk about bony alignment, that starts from when you're born. The 3 curves of the spine develop as you learn to do tummy time. That's how the cervical curve, crawling, and walking. So again, most of you have grown children, but you have grandkids, and they need to be maybe informed, or parents informed, about how this can play a role there. So joint health. So the reason I decided to talk about bony alignment and joint health separately is because yes, they do go hand in hand, but joint health comes more into play in my practice. So joint health is basically the ability of the joints to articulate or move together in unison. Most of us think of that mostly as like our shoulders, our hips, our knees, our ankles. Those joints need to move in synchrony in order for our bodies to be able to walk, sit, do all the things that we want to do, activity. But when we have poor posture, so if our bodies are starting to mold into a bad position, then you will get uneven weight bearing on those joints, and then they will wear out unevenly. So if my posture is altered to one side and all of my weight is now being carried on this side, what do you think is going to happen to the left side of my body? My ankle might start wearing out faster than my right. My left knee might start wearing out faster, or my left hip. Most common question I get in practice when we're talking about joints other than the spine is, why did I only need 1 hip replacement? Why did I only need 1 knee replacement? Well, that's because we had a period of time, maybe 10, 15, 20 years, where you had uneven weight on that side. Now, it could have been caused by a job, a habit, an injury, an accident, and things like that. But if we never rebalance that or get our posture back to where it needs to be, then those joints on that side will still keep wearing out. If we just had overall gravity impact on us straight down, everything should wear out evenly, right? Because it would become pressing down on us perfectly even. So that's the difference between bony alignment and joint health. So the third reason why posture is important is because of optimal breathing. So I was just reading some of the research and what I was going to talk about today, and one of the new research studies was showing that people on average only use 30% of their lung capacity when they're breathing. Why is that? Because most people have started, again, tech neck. If you walk down our hallway here in the office, tech neck is a new technical term, ICD-9 diagnosis code, or ICD-10. And what happens is you start molding forward. Well, then your lungs and your rib cage start collapsing down, and then you can't get that expanded breathing. So if you've ever been to the opera, what do the opera singers do? They're always standing with their chests open, their head up, because they have to get all of that air into their lungs in order for them to breathe to get the music out, right? Same thing with singers. They're always standing with good posture. So when you have poor posture and you're leaning forward, what that does is it closes down the lungs and doesn't allow to have optimal breathing capacity. So that's oftentimes why one of the things that can happen as we age is things like COPD, asthma, allergies. They're all starting because we're leaning forward. So other complications, and one thing I wanted to touch on here is some patients have come to me more recently because we're aware of our posture, because they're looking for improvements just in that cosmetic aspect that we talked about. But posture plays a key role in keeping your spine in proper alignment. Most of you here are patients of mine. So one of the things that we talked about on your first visit is how your spine relates to all of the nerves in your body. So I wanted to just review what the proper alignment of the spine is, because it's the most important thing when we're talking about posture. So when we look at the health of the spine, a healthy spine should be straight from the front. When you have bending from the front, that's called scoliosis, right? That's something we talk about when people are kids usually. And then from the side, you need to have these 3 curves. The reason those 3 curves are important is because that's like the shock absorbers, or how we absorb gravity in our body. It's just like the springs in your car. But the most important reason we have the spine is to protect all of these nerves that run your entire body. So if you have poor posture, your head starts shifting forward, we start getting out in front, a couple things can happen. Number one is balance issues. If the weight of your body or your head or your upper frame is in front of your legs and your pelvis, it's really easy to start falling forward, right? So we don't want that. Number two is because of these nerves are going to all of your organs. So if the spine gets out of position, a common thing that can happen is we could have digestive issues. That's when you have misalignments in the low back. You could have breathing issues because these nerves go to your lungs as well in this area. You could have thyroid issues because these nerves go to your thyroid. So when we have proper posture, it's helping keep our spine in the best alignment possible so these nerves can do their job of running the organs properly as well. So it's mechanical. I talked about that with the breathing. Coming forward causes closing down, but it's most importantly neurological, okay? Oh, balance. I thought I was going to talk about balance here. So proper posture means that my ear is over my shoulder, which is over my hip, which is over my knee, which is over my ankle, okay? So a good test to do, if you're not sure how you're doing, is ask your friend or your spouse to take a picture of you from the side. So this is a very good way if you can tell if you have proper posture. So we obviously want balancing from the front, shoulders level, hips level, feet and knees level. But from the side, ear over shoulder, over knee, over hip, over knee, over ankle. When we get out front, that's when we start feeling those balance issues and that falling forward because our center of gravity has moved forward. So there's a couple things that you can do to improve that. Number one, you can practice standing on one foot. So I would not suggest doing this if you're not holding on to something. So you want to start with standing on one foot. You can just lift one foot up at a time. You can see if you can hold on without, let go and not fall down. But you want to be near something in case you should need it. Try doing 10 seconds per leg and switching back and forth. Then the next progression from that would be to use something like a stability mat, like we have in the back with the Vibe plates. So it's a foam mat that's about 2 inches thick. They're very affordable. I can send you the link for one if you're interested. But what you would do is then the next progression is you're going to stand on the foam mat on one foot. Because what that will do is it'll force your feet and your body to recenter and rebalance your posture. I'm going to teach you ways to improve your posture, but this will also help improve your balance as well. Some of those tests and things that you can do and the exercises you can do at home, if you have a wobble cushion like we have here. Mindy, could you hand me one of those? So most of you, if you're a patient, you have one of these. If you have one and it's got dust on it, maybe both pull it back out, revisit. This is your friend. But you'll notice that we have ours pumped up pretty highly pumped. You can stand on this and try to balance. Again, you would want support, but I usually suggest if you're going to use this balance cushion, you have 2 of them and put one under each foot because again, it's pretty unstable if you have it pumped up like this. You can also deflate this a little bit and then it'll be flatter and a little bit easier to stand on, but that can also help improve your balance and working if you're going to work towards on your balance. When you're doing the balance exercises, the other thing you want to make sure that you do is stand very upright because if you're not standing upright, you're going to perpetuate that falling forward problem that we were talking about. So spinal health, I already went through that. So the most important thing I wanted to talk about today is how you can improve your posture, because I'm pretty sure that's why all of you are here, right? So I'm going to go through stretches, I'm going to go through exercises, and we're going to stand up and do some of it together today. I know everyone's so excited. I don't want anyone having their afternoon nap while you're here after your nice lunch break. So I have my notes here because I didn't want to miss anything. The number one way you can improve your posture is by seeing a chiropractor. I think all of you know that, otherwise I wouldn't be teaching that. So those of you who've been getting adjusted for a long time, what happens is when your spine is misaligned, that's called subluxation. When your spine is misaligned and gets out of position, my job as a chiropractor is I look at that on x-ray, I feel your spine, and then I help you realign your spine. So that's the number one way to improve your posture. We need to get those bones of your spine back into the proper position so they can protect the nerves, but also, again, cosmetically, protect you from looking like you're 200 years old. and also making sure that the musculature of your spine and your body is staying healthy and properly tensioned. So most of you, again, if you've been a patient, we talk about the spine, most importantly, that's the chiropractic portion, but we talk about the soft tissues, right? So the muscles and ligaments. So the second thing that we need to do to improve posture is make sure we're doing our home care. So this little dusty thing here, if you have not been using this, I wanted to give a little reminder on how often this baby is supposed to be part of your life. So if you're in your initial phases of care, so that's say your first 3 months, the wobble chair and the traction in most cases, if you've been prescribed that by me, should be done twice a day. Once you get towards a little bit more maintenance level care, these should still be done once a day. So I thought maybe today we could have a little reminder of a tip on how we remember to do our home care. Because usually after you've been coming to see me for 6 months, a year, 2 years, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Dr. Leigh is not harping on me. Have you been doing your home care? Do you know where it is? Do you need help with it? So the best thing I always tell patients is tie it to a habit you have every day. So when do I do my traction? I turn my shower on and then I do my traction. Because my shower, I have on-demand water heating, so it takes forever to heat up. So I have plenty of time to do that. Keep your traction in your bathroom. That's a great place. You go to the bathroom a couple times a day, do your traction when you go to the bathroom. Your wobble chair should be on a chair where you see it. Turn your coffee on in the morning, do your wobble chair. If you tie it to something you do, you are more likely to do it. Brush your teeth, brush your spine. Make sure they are going hand in hand there. So that's just my friendly reminder for your home care. So that's number 2. Number 3, practice the stacked posture. So have someone take a picture of you from the side. If you don't want to ask someone to do it, that's totally fine. On your next visit when you come here, just bring your cell phone and I'll take a picture of you, or I'll use mine and I'll text it to you. But what I would suggest is just trying to be natural, taking that picture from the side, give yourself a little bit of a reality check on where you're at, and then work on that. So when you go out, take a few minutes when you're going out to the grocery store and be like, am I stacked up? And then the next day when you go do something, am I stacked up? Just make that part of your mantra, thinking about where it is. If you consciously think about it, you are more likely to do it and see improvements with it. So that's number 3, practice your stacked posture. Please, I do encourage you to take that picture. Number 4 I wanted to talk about is walking posture. So this is a really common question I get because I love all my patients who have travel on their agenda. I always want to know about where you're going, because if you didn't know, I love to go places. I always say my eyeballs have so much to see that they haven't seen yet. So when we are walking, the best thing to do to train yourself to walk better, more effectively with good posture is to walk the same route all the time. And why do I say that? Because you will know what to expect. If you walk a new route every day, which I think sounds really fun, you're gonna look down like this when you're walking because you wanna make sure you're not gonna trip, right? So I suggest doing the boring walk for your exercise walk. So you can still get speed, you can still make sure you're doing things the proper way, but I don't want you looking down, because once we start looking down all the time, we mold into this position, because walking is one of the best exercises that we can do, especially as we age. So what I want everyone to do when they go for their next walk is I want you to think about, is my posture upright? So I want you to start your walk off slow. I want you to put your hand on your chest, okay? The reason why I want you to put your hand on your chest is because once my hand starts coming forward, it's another layer to tell my brain I'm going forward and I shouldn't be, okay? So you're gonna start with your hand on your chest. And you're gonna start with the stacked posture, ear over shoulder, over hip, knee, ankle, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna walk slow. So now I'm retraining my gait. So I'm walking slow, so I'm maintaining my upright posture. Now, the complaint I often get is I look kind of weird when I'm doing that. I totally understand that. It's a really good way to make new friends though. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start doing that. You can start at home. I mean, I've told patients you can start in your backyard. I will say that most of my patients who are like 20 and 30 care a lot more about what other people think about them. I don't really care what people think about me. Yeah. So you put your hand on your chest, you're gonna start with walking slowly. once you feel like you've trained yourself to not be forward, and you'll be surprised, maybe you'll walk a block and you notice that you're starting to come forward. That's some postural fatigue. So I would still suggest keeping your hand here until you're like, wow, I am really getting the hang of this. Then you can start adding more and more time. If you're not sure that there's a great route, like, so say you want to walk like 4 miles, you could walk the same 1 mile loop. There's a lot of places around here that have good walking trails. I mean, the Legacy Trail is a great place to walk. That one's a little bit harder because people are always zooming by on their bikes and stuff like that. The park by Sharky's Beach there, if you're familiar, it's a loop. I want to say it's like a half mile loop. I'm not sure, I haven't done it in a while. But again, Maxine Barrett, I think that's what that's called. It's good because again, it's sidewalked, it's uniform, and you will get a habit of doing that. You'll know the walkway, so you won't have to look down after you do it a couple times. When you're also walking, instead of, if you have bifocals, this is a little bit harder, but instead of looking down, try to train yourself to gaze down. Like, I'm still looking out in front of me and I'm looking down, but my head is still upright. And if I have my hand here, it will tell me where I'm at and if I'm keeping my upright posture. Then try to add more speed once you feel like you're confident doing that. So that's for walking. Number 5 is the easiest exercise. I love to do this exercise. You're gonna lay down on the ground and you're gonna lay flat. And what it's gonna do is it's going to help open up your chest. So most of us don't spend any time laying down or being flat. So really popular in the last couple of years are those elevator beds where you're elevating yourself up. So I will say most of my patients, and you don't have to tell me if you do this, don't lay flat hardly anymore. And laying flat on your back, I'm gonna pull this bench over because I don't wanna lay on the floor right here. So when you lay flat, you are able to open up your chest and get into what's called the anatomical position, and it will reset your spine. So if you lay flat, like I like to lay on my back like this, and I'm sorry in the back, if you can't see me, you're more than welcome to stand up. But if you lay flat on your back with your palms open, it immediately is relaxing the entire spine. The other thing to do in this position is also to use your spinal rolls. Remember those doodads that I gave you? Yeah, so this is a good position to do your spinal rolls in. This is literally just unbounding and opening up my entire body, and it's stabilizing my spine also when I do this. I've always joked it's the easiest exercise you do because you're just laying there. So try to lay flat. If you can do it on the carpet or something a little more firm, like honestly, that bench is really firm, so if you want to do it on something like that, that's fine. But on the floor is really ideal because it's firm, okay? But if you can train yourself to lay flat like that for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, use your rolls. That's a perfect time to do it. You will notice that it will start loosening up this whole front and basically allow our bodies to come more upright. I wasn't going to talk about this today, but I thought I would just touch on it. So if you look up what's called upper cross syndrome is when the muscles on the front of our body have gotten so tight and they're pulling us forward, and these have gotten so weak, okay? That's one of the things that we're trying to undo. That's the technical term when we're starting to roll forward, is what's called upper cross syndrome. So this is gonna open your chest up, and then we're gonna strengthen the muscles back here by doing some exercises that I'll teach you in a minute. The other thing that helps with that is when we do the stability mat in the office or the vibe plate, if you're doing either of those here. So that is number 5. Number 6 is a progression of that. What you're gonna do is you're gonna lay flat on your back, and you're gonna take a towel, like a beach towel, a shower towel, something like that, and you're gonna lay it vertically down your spine, okay? So it's gonna be going this direction, and you're gonna lay on the floor, because what that's gonna do is that's gonna open up that chest even more. You can use your neck roll that I gave you if you want, but I usually think that the bigger, like a beach towel size roll about this big, vertically matched up with my spine, is gonna open that up even more. The reason I like a beach towel or something like that is because it's soft. You know, the idea, this isn't supposed to be torture. So the idea is that we're just gonna slowly and gently open up that chest so we're not rolling forward. So that is number 6. Number 7 is I'm gonna show you how to sit on a chair the right way. Okay, so I'm not judging anyone here at all. So when we are sitting, what you're gonna do is I want you to start by working towards sitting on the edge of the chair. So most of us sit back in the chair. So most of us sit back in the chair, and this is how we end up. So see how I'm like kind of like a C? I tell my husband it's called the shrimp. I look like a little shrimp. So this position, as you can see, my head is now in front of my body. See how my ear is out front? If you sit on the edge, it forces you to sit upright. Yes, I know that there's no back support when you do this, and you wouldn't want to do this for a long time, but this is going to train you to sit more upright by sitting on the edge. If you go out to dinner and the chairs are awful and you're like, oh my God, I can't sit in that chair, it is the worst. Sit on the edge. I think you'll be surprised, because what it will do is it'll allow you to be sitting on your fanny and not your back. That's the number one thing that happens is when we sit back in the chair, the first thing I'm doing is sitting on my spine. That's not meant to hold the weight of my body. That's what my booty is for. So I sit on the edge and it will force me to sit upright, and the weight of my body is going to be on my butt where it's supposed to be. If you're at home and you have this, you can put this behind your back. And this can be your support. What it will do is, again, it's gonna force you to sit forward so you're not sitting on your back instead of your butt. So that's for sitting. If you have been going on a trip, again, since you're a patient of mine, and you're gonna go sit on the airplane, the most straight up seat ever, bring something to put behind your back. I've always said you can bring your rolls. I'm always worried I'm gonna lose my rolls. So you can bring your rolls, you can bring a scarf and put it behind your back. Anything that will force that curve, but the most important reason we're doing that is so you sit on your butt and not your back. So proper sitting helps. Couches. Okay, so who loves a nice, lovely, deep couch? I do. I love that. It's like comfortable. I stand all day. I want to relax into my couch. Well, that is terrible for my back. So again, you can use your wobble. I like to put my feet up at night, but if I put my feet up and I'm sitting on my couch, I just force myself into the shrimp, right? So what I would suggest is putting something behind your back. It could be your wobble. I have like those rectangular, like decorative pillows. I put that behind my back, because then again, it's forcing my spine and my hips to rock forward, and I'm still sitting on my butt and not my back. So that's sitting. Okay, so stretches. So I'm gonna show you 4 stretches today and then 3 exercises for how we can improve our posture. So the first stretch is called the corner stretch. Has anyone done that before? Corner stretch? So all you're gonna do is you're gonna stand in the corner. I hope you can see me over here. You're gonna put one arm on each side of the corner, and then you're leaning your body forward. Okay. I like that stretch to be done when you put your arms up as high as you can while there's still a little bit of a bend, then down a little bit lower, and then down a little bit lower. Okay? So the goal with that is, again, to loosen this up. Common pitfall. You tuck your chin too far and you're stretching like this. We want our chin up nice and high, so we're in the corner stretching but not jutting our chin out, okay? That's gonna stretch the chest. I mean, even just then doing that, because I don't do that stretch super often, I could feel that stretching my chest. But it's meant to be a really gentle stretch. Stretches should be easy. They shouldn't be painful. They shouldn't be torture. Just go slow. If you've not done it before, you're gonna feel it, but you usually don't feel it till later, and then you've done too much. So make sure you're going a little bit slow. Oh, I lost my notes. Stretch number 2. We're gonna do some, and actually if you guys wanna stand up for this, so I think this is also great for if you're out and about. So stand up, and if you can, if everyone wouldn't mind, stand behind your chair. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make you guys move around a little bit here. It's probably good if everyone's forward them. Only because the front row doesn't have other chairs. Yeah, just use the back of your chair. Perfect. Make sure you make accommodations, everybody. So these are gonna be very similar to what you'll notice if you do the wobble exercises already, but I can do these wherever I am, even if I don't have my wobble. See? I'll move around a little bit. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold onto the back of the chair for support, and you're gonna do flexion and extension just like we do on the wobble. So flexion means I'm gonna roll my shoulders forward, and then extension means I'm going to look up to the sky and pull my shoulder blades together, okay? So this is very similar to what? The front to back on the wobble. But if I'm not at home, I don't have my wobble. If I went to a workshop, or if I'm traveling, or if I'm doing something for the whole day where I'm out and about, like maybe playing in a card tournament or something like that, I would love for you to do these periodically throughout the day. Because what this is gonna do is it's gonna loosen up that upper back and help take stress off of the spine and improve your posture. So that's the first stretch. I like it done holding onto a chair because heaven forbid you don't have your balance, you're on uneven footing, you're not at home, make sure we're doing that. So the next one you can do, and you don't have to hold onto the chair, but I like when you're behind the chair, is what's called shoulder protraction and retraction. So what you do is you roll your shoulders forward, kind of make yourself look, I feel like I'm a turtle when I do this, and then you roll your shoulders backwards. So the difference between flexion and extension is the flexion extension is for my spine, so directly behind my chest. This is for my shoulders, so I'm rolling them forward, and then I'm rolling them backwards, and I'm rolling them forward, and I'm rolling them backwards. So that's shoulder protraction and retraction. All right, I have a question. How many people would like me to send them this list of what I just did? Okay, I'll make sure I do. I mean, you don't want all my handwritten notes? Okay, I'll make sure I text you guys and send you everything. Let's see. And then pelvis flexion extension. So this is a good one to do with the chair as well. So what you'll do is you'll kind of tip your booty backwards. I don't have a better way to do that. And then you'll rock it forward. So you're going kind of like in and out as if you were on the wobble. And what this is doing is it's stretching my pelvis in and out. And again, it might feel a little awkward now, but the problem is if our pelvis doesn't have good motion, so if we don't have that rocking forward and back on our pelvis, when I go to sit down, I'm still gonna sit on my back because I can't get my pelvis to rock forward. So that forward and backward. So I guess a little pointer here for everyone who's been doing the wobble for a while. If you're doing the wobble at home and you are using this wobble cushion that I've given you and you are not feeling the cushion move or hearing it, like I love these metal chairs that we have because it tells me if you're doing the wobble cushion right. If you're sitting on the wobble, just like I was showing you with the pelvis, and it's not actively moving, and you can hear it moving, then you're not doing it right. Because we gotta get motion in the pelvis in order to support our posture and our spine as well. Just so you know, if you have forgotten how to do the wobble exercises, or if you've never done them before and want to do them, if you guys are patients here, number one, they're on my YouTube channel, so you can always watch them on YouTube. Number two, my team or myself will show you how to do them. We would be happy to show you how to do them. Sometimes we've been doing them for a long time and we need a refresher. That's okay, that's totally fine. That's what we're here for. So I would love to help you with that. So those are the stretches you're gonna add. Those are 4 stretches. And then exercises. Why don't you guys have a seat and I'll show you the 4 exercises. So reclaim your thrones. So the easiest exercise to start with is what is called wall standing. And again, I will do this if I'm out and about, or like heaven forbid you go to the airport and have a long delay, or you're doing something for the day and you're like, oh my gosh, I just sat for forever and I need to do something for my posture. So I will do what's called wall standing. So I will stand up against the wall. The idea is that my heels, my butt, my shoulders, and my head are in contact with the wall. So a couple pointers here. Number 1, notice how my head is not up like this. My chin is level or retracted. The reason why that's important is because it's really easy to lean your head back like this when you're up against the wall, but that's not rebounding your posture. So you can train yourself, it's harder than it looks. So you can train yourself to 1, do this for 10 seconds, then progressively work your way up to 1 minute to 2 minutes. But I also enjoy doing this when I'm out and about. And again, if I have been sitting a long time in a bad chair, or if I've been doing things that I'm like, ooh, my spine and my posture need a little bit of love, but I can't do the stretches, I'll do this, or I'll lay on the ground. I am that person at the airport, laying on the ground. So number one is wall stretching. The next wall standing. The next progression of that is what are called wall angels. So again, I often recommend these if you have a shoulder blade problem. So shoulder blades here, because it's gonna stretch behind your shoulder blade, but it's also really good for your posture. Key is though, to keep your body in contact, and then you're gonna go up and down like a snow angel. So what this does is it's increasing motion in this upper back area, but it's also training my spine to stay aligned while I do the motion, okay? It is important to keep your body touching the wall. If you can't just stand up against the wall, I would not add the wall angels, but it's also important to try to drag your arms on the wall as much as possible. So do it in an area where there's no pictures on the wall. You can do it. It seems logical, but I always have to say it. Yeah. Or you can do this one on the ground. So you can lay on the ground and do the floor angels, okay? So that's a different progression. And then the last progression would be you took a ball. So I would suggest like a little beach ball. You can use a racket ball or something like that, and try to squeeze it between your shoulder blades up against the wall, and then you'll stand here. That one is the hardest. You can try it maybe with your roll that I gave you, your neck roll, and get it in between your shoulder blades, but you'll squeeze it in between there. You're not moving your arms, you're just holding it here. But again, notice my whole body must be in contact in order for that to happen. Otherwise my shoulder blades aren't gonna be able to hold that ball together, okay? So when we talk about how to improve our posture, the progression is number one, chiropractic, doing our stretches, making sure we're staying on top of our home care. I gave you all the friendly reminder of that. Then starting with some stretching of the spine. We don't need to strengthen anything if we're not ready for it. So always doing the stretching first. So that's the corner stretch, the wobble chair, some of the flexion extension standing exercises I would show you. And then the last thing is exercises. So that's the wall standing, the wall angels, and then the ball between the shoulder blades. So those are the things that I would suggest we work on. So the biggest thing that we have to do after today is implementation. So it's really great to learn a bunch of things, but if we don't implement it, then we just have a lot of information that we're not using. So I'll send you all a text message a little bit later today. Thank you for coming. I'll have the list of everything that I just talked about. If you need help adding it to your routine, start slow. Do your home care, then add one stretch. Do your home care for another week and add 2 stretches and keep working your way up. Again, you don't have to add everything at once, and I really wouldn't suggest that because that's unsustainable. Adding baby steps at a time. So that being said, does anyone have any questions?
What's your YouTube channel called?
It's just my name, so Dr. Leigh Sierra. If you got the initial stretches from us, my YouTube's on there. If you like other things health-wise, on my YouTube channel, there's videos of me cooking with my kids. There are some other videos of different information about toxicity. In the past, I've talked a lot about nutrition and toxicity. You know, I guess maybe my overall well-being idea is that we all get adjusted. We manage our stress, we eat well, we exercise, and we keep our toxin level down. So those are the 5 facets of health, in my opinion. So on my YouTube channel, there's lots of information about that stuff too. Other questions? Then Kim, then Anita.
I just have a question. When you're doing the angels on the wall, I do something similar when I'm floating in the water. Is that?
Are you on a mat?
No, just floating.
On your back? Wow, and you don't sink?
No, I can float. I'm
impressed. That'd be fine. I just think about when you do it next time, make sure your chin is staying tucked. I would imagine it has to be, otherwise you would probably sink right down in there. I'm so impressed.
Because I can do it in the water, but I can't do it on land. I'm just more flexible in the water.
Yeah, so more mobility, less gravity on us. Try it on the floor first. That might be a good next progression. Or even trying it on like a floating mat if you have like a float, like a
yoga mat.
Yeah, like I'm gonna lay in the pool on the float, something like that. Go ahead, Anita.
She just said something about laying on the floor. Right? What
if you can't get up?
Right.
Okay, so that's a great question. So if you aren't comfortable getting up and down off the floor, if you have a bench, that's great. Again, these are like super sturdy benches. They're not always available to people. Doing on your bed is fine. The only thing I say is that once we get really good at it, the bed has so much give and it's usually pretty cushy. So doing on the floor is better stabilizing of the spine.
Even if it's a firm mattress,
Yeah.
it's new.
I love a firm mattress.
It's
A
very
firm mattress is the way to go.
Different.
But yeah, so if you try it on the bed.
Okay.
Any other questions? See, everyone always has the same question, so don't be shy. These are people that are not asking. Yes.
I have one of those long rolls.
Like the hard roll foam roller?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I lay on that and just go like that,
Which way? Vertically or horizontally?
vertically.
Yeah,
on my spine.
that's fine.
'Cause
She's
when I-
hardcore.
When I, had a shoulder problem, that's what they told me to do to get that open,
Yeah.
and it actually feels really good.
Yeah, so what she's talking about is laying on the foam roll, so not the rolls I gave you to sleep on, the hard foam roller, laying on that vertically, that would be fine. If you have one of those, it's tough. So if you've not done that before, definitely do the beach towel first. I love foam rolling, it's great, we could have a whole workshop on that as well, but that's a good progression down the road as well. Any other questions? Yes.
That foam roll would be too big for the ball between the.
You could probably try that. I think it's gonna be too heavy unless you have some good weight up against it, but I would maybe try the neck roll first to get that in between there. Even like if you go to the dollar store at this time of year, they probably have like a little kids like bouncy ball. I don't even know how you describe it. They have them at Target, I know that. I bet you they have them at the dollar store. They're like water balls, but they're not, you don't inflate them and they bounce a lot. Kind of like a Nerf, but they're like this big. I'll try to see if I can figure out where, I know they have them at Target, so. Wait, hold on, Pam, and then, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Sandy.
I'm short and car seats are just, talk about shrunk position.
Yep.
They're like this. So I've tried like sitting to make me taller and putting something behind me so it's not rounding me. Like any tips?
Yeah, so I don't know why they're like this, but car seats now, because they're worried about the whiplash, so the headpiece comes forward. If you notice that now, I hate it. So I actually recline my seat more. I have my lumbar support out as full as it can be. And then if I'm going on a distance, I will put something behind my back. I would rather have the seat reclined so my head isn't forward and have something back here so it makes me more upright. Does that make sense? Yeah. If you go on Instagram, if anyone's on Instagram, I posted a video or a reel maybe a year ago that showed how to set up your car seat. Yeah, so it's about a year ago. If you can't find it, friend me and I'll tag you. Yes.
I was just thinking about that stretch where you were talking about with the spinal one, is to use a pool noodle. You've got a small size and you've got one that's just a little bit bigger and you can cut it to whatever length you
Yep,
want.
absolutely. So pool noodle is good for the vertical stretch too.
Okay.
Someone else had a question. They raised their hand over here. No? Okay. 146, pretty good, guys. If you have some other questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes. I have a new patient at 2 o'clock, but you guys know where to find me. I'll shoot you a text later today.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.